8 races down and 6 to go in the next 7 weeks. We arrive in France for our latest triple header, with 5,000 fans hoping for home glory in Le Mans. Their new hero, Fabio Quartararo, is on pole today, looking to extend his championship lead. It's time to go GP. 4.1 kilometre circuit here, the Bugatti circuit in Le Mans. 14 corners, 9 of them right, 5 of them left. Last resurfaced 4 years ago, 2016. Will there be lap records going here today? The race lap records belonging to Maverick Vinales when he won on the Yamaha here 3 years ago. Plenty of overtaking hotspots here in Le Mans. This is way back 3 years ago in that dramatic race where Rossi crashed out. Maverick Vinales went on to win. What will we see today? Coming up though in the next 20 or so minutes in Moto GP.
KTM's first dry race, top 6 here 1 year ago. Valentino Rossi, confident in his race pace, frustrated to find himself down in 10th place on the grid. Does not accurately show or reflect his true potential. The start of the first few laps of the keeper Rossi as he tries to finally make it 200 Premier Class podiums in what is now his 351st Premier Class start.
Hard to know what to expect from that guy as well, Pecco Bagnaia, who's been getting quicker and quicker as the weekend goes on. Maverick Vinales here, just going out on a wet tyre. Now, you would not be surprised to see a number of riders scrubbing in a wet here, in case we do have a flag-to-flag race, which Matt just mentioned. I can barely believe that we've not had one since Brno 2017. Maverick himself had a big crash this morning in warm-up, but soon put that right, went back out on circuit, was in the top 3 by the end of warm-up.
If that man Franco Morbidelli had qualified slightly higher than 11th, there'd have been a lot of money going on him to fight for the victory today. Looked really good on the first tyre, the first soft tyre in Q2 yesterday afternoon, got himself inside the top 3, couldn't get anything going at all, not the same level of grip, he said, with his second soft rear tyre. That's why he plummeted down the order to 11th. A lot of work to do for Morbidelli from the middle of that 4th row. That's his equal worst starting position of the season so far, but he's got very, very good race pace, so if he can charge through, well, he'll be a contender for that top 5 minimum.
Cal Crutchlow then getting himself ready. They couldn't get that bike started in morning warm-up, but he was still there or thereabouts. Of course, a big result here today throws him right in the shop window in front of Aprilia, the ride that he is looking for 2021, that vacant seat that at the moment we're still unsure of. The hearing of Andrea Iannone to take place soon.
Yeah, and everybody at the moment will be looking skywards to check on that heavy cloud cover.
Shall we check with Simon down in pit lane? I mean, sometimes you get a feeling, don't you, whether or not it's going to rain. Simon, what are the conditions like at the moment where you are?
Guys, it's like the camera showed. You know, every couple of minutes those dark clouds get more over the circuit, and you know, it genuinely could go either way. It's really hard to pick. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few spits and we get away with it.
There are.
That's what I'd guess.
We can see them. We can see them on the exit of pit lane. There's a couple. I mean, it's not heavy rain by any stretch. So at the moment, it would not affect track conditions. Track temperature's not exactly tropical, is it? 17 degrees, 16 in some places, but we just saw a couple of tiny spits there on the camera lens as they exited pit lane. You could see Cal's arm going up, Valentino Rossi's arm also going up.
We had a full wet FP1, didn't we, on Friday morning, and then mixed conditions, the circuit scattered with damp patches, push hard in those mixed conditions. So Maverick Vinales did go out and scrub in rain tyres on that factory Yamaha. His mechanics have done a great job, because one of those M1s was quite badly damaged this morning with that crash at turn 10 on an outlap in warm-up. Now he's got the slick tyres fitted. You can just see there pumping the brakes, trying to get some crucial temperature into those carbon discs.
So then you could pretty much erase the yellow banded hard tyres from the equation here today, and probably the mediums also. Everything pointing towards riders going for a soft front, soft rear tyre. And will we be thrown a curveball here? Will anyone need to use soft or medium tyres in this race? Will it rain before we start? Will we have our first flag to flag in 3 years? There'll be a few riders down on the grid that will be absolutely praying that it does not rain, and there'll be one or two others who will be saying, now that sounds like a bit of me.
Yes.
The underdog's a bit further back on the grid. Maverick Vinales, what to expect from him? Great pace.
Bradley Smith right now, they're doing a rain dance. Of course, he topped that wet FP1 session on Friday.
Good point.
On the factory of Aprilia. And he was running strong in the mixed conditions in the afternoon session before a vicious ejector seat high side at turn 11.
Yeah, and you get some long odds on Bradley Smith as well. But anything could happen. The riders make their way on the grid then ahead of the French Grand Prix. Fabio waving to the fans. Pole position for him.
And he said yesterday he's not thinking about Joan Mir, he's just concentrating on his own game, his own plans. He said easily to think about Mir having qualified down in 14th place, his closest championship rival.
So Maverick went out scrubbing a set of wets in, came back into pit lane whilst pit lane was still open for another minute in fact if he wanted to go in and do it again, but he's not going to. Around to the grid he comes then, and he will line up in 5th place. The virtual fan wall, well, it's nice to have fans here, but to all of you waving from around the world, we send our greetings, whether it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day. Thank you once again for joining us, and we hope that your rider has a good day, whoever it is that you're cheering on, coming up here for this race that will start in just under 20 minutes.
Will it be dry? Will it be wet? Will it be mixed? Who knows? What have the elements got in store for us ahead of this 27-lap French Grand Prix?
This is a big race for Jack Miller, second on the grid. He's looked good all weekend, come rain or shine.
Yeah.
He's not out of the championship either.
And the hands of Jack Miller and Danilo Petrucci, Crutchlow, Vinales and Dovizioso are on that second row. And speaking of the man on the front row for the third year in a row here in Le Mans and going for his third successive podium in France as well.
Looking really confident. What do you think is possible to achieve today?
It's always nice to be here in front row. We are very close to each other, but we are ready for the battle. I have a good pace and I feel good with the bike, so I think we can fight for the podium.
Danilo, just before I let you go, can you use the start device here with that fast first turn or not?
It's quite difficult to use it because there is a first corner that is quite wide, but I think it's an opportunity to go ahead and stay away from the problem.
Best of luck.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said, Matt. Thanks very much. It's great to hear from Danilo Petrucci. In a world where we can't often hear from riders on the grid who don't want to talk on the front row, good to have the confidence back. Here's a legend for you, Mick Doohan, the 5-timer as he's often known in the paddock, looking like he's cheering on Jack Miller from second on the grid. Danilo Petrucci has more than a good chance. There's no reason at all why anyone should rule him out of a podium opportunity today.
Not at all. His first front row start in 22 since Mugello last year. That turned out to be a pretty good day for the Italian, didn't it? Although his form evaporated pretty quickly after that one. He hasn't had a top 6, believe it or not, Danilo Petrucci, since the Saxon Ring last July. I think it's fair to say long overdue. I don't think you need tyre warmers, you need flamethrowers to keep heating the tyres down here today in Le Mans. It's so bitterly cold.
Some of the dark clouds have moved on by from our commentary box. We might just escape the rain. Who knows? Here's Jack Miller then. He's got his gloves on, keeping himself warm. Second on the grid. 6th in the World Championship, but just 33 points down.
Yeah, gloves on now for Miller. He'll be trying to get his gloves off a little bit later on, in about 17 minutes time, when this 27-lap French Grand Prix gets underway. Great record here in Le Mans for Miller, a former Moto 3 race winner here. He's been 4th, knocking on the door of the podium here for the last 2 years as well.
Miller will be disappointed if he's not on the podium here today in France, Matt.
He will.
If he's able to win, though, his first for Ducati in Pramac colours, that really puts him in a box seat for the World Championship.
It just gives you a massive fillip for the remainder of the season. We know that the Ducati works very, very well in Aragon, of course, using its power down that long back straight. So, yeah, Miller will be looking for a big pre-race boost. Bradley Smith had a brilliant FP1 on Friday morning in the wet conditions. An unfortunate big high side at turn number 11, but he's looked good all weekend on that factory. Brilliant. I'm delighted to say he's on the grid with Simon now.
He is. He's just chatting to his mechanics. Actually, guys, there's a lot of stress down here. You know, you can imagine with choices, getting other bikes set up. Bradley, you were super fast in wet conditions. Anything could happen right now. What are you hoping for?
for it to decide one or the other. You know, this up in the air stuff is always miserable for the rider, and especially the old spit spotting with this type of conditions as well. It's never any fun. You know, you just don't know what you're going to get. It's hard enough, as you see all weekend, these morning sessions and with these cold things, you know, without throwing rain into the mix, but it's what makes it exciting for the fans at home. So, I mean, yeah, if it's going to rain, and if it's going to be dry, but this in between and not knowing is kind of miserable. But I've had a good weekend. I've enjoyed it so far, so I need to finish it off as well.
Just hope you don't mind, got one other thing to ask. End of warm-up in those cold conditions, I saw some of the riders' rear tyre, soft rear tyre tearing up, like cold tearing. Is it a worry at this temperature, or is it okay?
To be honest, the rear's not too bad for me. It's the front that I have.
Gamble, isn't it? The choice of wets as well.
Well, that's, as you say, it's going to be a gamble. Who comes in first if it is starting to dry and if there's another shower coming? So it's going to be an interesting race for sure, and you know, looking forward to seeing how it unfolds.
Thanks for your time, Mick. Hey guys, the other thing is these sort of conditions are so what's the word? So easy to crash in, you know. So fingers crossed that sort of thing doesn't happen.
Yeah, thanks for that, Simon. Absolutely great to hear from the 5-time world champion Mick Doohan. We have a wet race starting, but it's going to be flag to flag, folks. If this dries up, everyone will be starting on wets. No one would gamble on slicks right now. It's bucketing down outside our commentary box. Looks like for the first time in 3 years we may have a flag to flag. This changes everything, Matt. Absolutely everything.
And the king of flag to flags is sat at home on his sofa in Severa right now. And of course, these mixed conditions, Jack Miller, he excels. If it does go full wet and stays full wet, Danilo Petrucci and Andrea Dovizioso have proven in recent history how strong they are in rain conditions. Alex Rins and Pol Espargaro in that last full wet Moto GP race in Valencia 2018 was so strong as well. But what is going through the minds of the two top men in the World Championship, Fabio Quartararo and Joan Mir, this is completely new territory for them and a bunch of other riders who've never actually raced on Michelin drain tyres in Moto GP. They've got no experience of the flag to flag race scenario as well. So which of those will handle it the best? This is a high
Pit lane closes in 1 minute. If you're not out in that 1 minute, you've got a penalty coming your way. Can you believe it, Matt?
Unbelievable. Pit lane is now closed. Red light is on. And now this is going to be a very tentative sighting lap. What drama just before the start of what we were hoping for, a dry French Grand Prix. Let's go down to Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Taramasso for his thoughts now on what potentially is a flag-to-flag battle, Simon.
Yes, Piero, in these slippery conditions, I imagine fastest is to have the soft wets on, but in a long race, if it dries out, do you think anyone would go for the medium?
So I don't have all the information, but I just saw Alex Rins going out with the medium, but the majority of the riders, they went out with the soft, wet, of course. The soft, they use it Friday morning. The temperature, the condition was very close.
And it was very, great tyres, really fast.
Yes, was very nice. After 21, 22 laps, the soft was in very good shape, so he can keep the race distance.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks very much. So, medium for Alex Rins. They will all start on wet tyres.
Cold and wet in Le Mans. It can be a recipe for disaster. This is going to be a survival race in many respects. A real battle of attrition coming up. Andrea Dovizioso, normally so good in wet weather conditions, as is Danilo Petrucci. You can never discount Jack Miller as well. And what about Rossi too? With all of his experience, there's nobody more experienced in this kind of situation than the 41-year-old doctor coming from 10th place on the grid.
After the race in Catalonia, many thought the championship was starting to take shape in the form of Quartararo and Mir versus the rest.